My name is Milton Bowens Jr. I'm 35 years old. I was born and raised in Chickasha, Oklahoma. I am the father of 3 awesome children and a proud husband of a wonderful woman. And I'm an educator. I've been teaching and working with schools in various capacities for the last 13 years. And kind of my mission to help schools turn around to provide opportunities for all students. The first sign was drastic weight loss in high school. I was roughly about 225 pounds, played offensive and defensive line in football. And over the course of roughly about 5.5, 6 months, my weight dropped to 160 pounds. And with that came a lot of and just being tired, fatigued, and that was just a big warning sign that something was going on. It was December of 2009. It was my first year teaching, and the kidney disease had begun to progress quite rapidly. And so they were getting me ready to start dialysis and said that they would place me on the transplant registry, on the recipient registry, and that it could take maybe a year or 2 for me to find a donor, but that the dialysis would help possibly keep me stable in that waiting period. So when I was placed on dialysis, I was told that I just needed to try to keep myself as healthy as possible, that if I kept my overall body strong and healthy, that it would probably be a better outcome once I did receive a transplant. The actual wait time ended up being, I believe, about almost 4 years. So about 3.5, almost 4 years before I received my transplant. Fully, it was a feeling of disbelief. At this point, I'd been waiting for quite a while. I had over 30 friends and family get tested to be a donor for me, and none of it panned out. And so sadly, I kind of didn't want to get excited about it because I didn't want the letdown. There's always that kind of window. So when you are notified that there's a potential donor or a kidney for you to receive, there's a really small window to get everything ready. And so when they called me and said they had one, it was at the beginning of December, I believe it was. And I had the transplant, I believe, December 10th. And so during that whole window, I was like on pins and needles because I was afraid I was going to get a call and said maybe the person backed out, or maybe there was something wrong with my test in preparation for the transplant, or there could have been an insurance issue, just a lot of things that left me unsettled. So I was a little bit of afraid to give myself permission to feel the full excitement of it. I was, but I always tried to temper it with, okay, don't get too excited because something could happen and you got to stay focused. But deep down inside, I was jumping for joy.
So, hello, I'm Cynthia Decker. I am 47 years old. I had to think about that one. I was born and raised in Port Arthur, Texas. I moved to Oklahoma in 1996. And I currently am working at Volvo car dealership in sales. My background is I've always enjoyed medical. I've worked in the medical field and in hospitality and restaurants, owned and operated a restaurant as well. So, and in oil field. Ever since I got my permit, I got a hardship driver's license at age 15. And you check the little box if you want to become a donor or not. And that kind of started the wheels going for me, of, hey, I could do that someday. Some dear friends of mine had a child that had polycystic kidney disease, and he was born with that. He actually needed a kidney, and I was going to be the first one to be tested for that kidney. It was zero question, like, yes, absolutely. He unfortunately did not survive past 7 months old. He never got to his weight, to his health. Just like Milton had mentioned, there's certain parameters that you have to be within, and he never was able to get to that. And there was a lady that needed a kidney, and she was the same age as me. She had the same blood type as me, and she had 2 children as well. And it was just a very overwhelming feeling of, I need to do this. And it just said, if you're interested in becoming a donor, call Integris. So, I mean, it was zero hesitation. I picked up the phone and I called. Without consulting anyone, my doctors, my family, my job. Surprisingly, every person was supportive. And, of course, there was the questions of, why would you do that? Why would you what if your children need it? What if, well, God will provide. That was always my answers to that. Actually, I was a match for the lady, and her family, or a friend, stepped up and decided that she wanted to donate. And then at that point, they asked me if I wanted to continue on with the search and see if I matched anyone else in the system. And I actually did match Milton and one other person. Of course, they don't tell you any of that information at the time. They told me I matched a 20-something-year-old and a 50-something-year-old, and they asked to whom I would like that to go to. And again, I said, that's not my decision. I'm here to donate my kidney, and they picked Milton. So. You both have to get tested within a certain period. Maybe, what is it, like 24 hours maybe, to make sure that at that moment, everything lines up. As a donor, you go through lots of testing. Basically, you have to be the cream of the crop, if that makes sense. You just have to be in top health to be able to, especially being altruistic, not knowing the person that you're donating to, doing EKG, doing CAT scan, ultrasounds, psychological testing to make sure that you're not just doing this for the wrong reasons, and that you're strong enough to handle being the whole process. And, if something does happen to the recipient afterwards, that you don't slip into a depression from, giving your kidney to someone and they didn't make it. There's a lot of factors that go into this but every step of the way was absolutely worth it. I'm going to start crying. Whenever I look, and see how healthy he is and how healthy his family is and how happy that, his mother and his father, and, they still have their son. She still has her husband. His children still have their father. So he didn't even know at this point that he already had a kidney coming to him until December. But I had already started all of my testing in September. So, and of course, there's many reasons why they do that, but it was early on that you found out that you did match. It was amazing. It was like a miracle. Of course you have those anxiety feelings, but I never had an overwhelming, like, oh no, what am I doing? It was always like, when can it be done? And the whole process, I was trying to think of, I get the option of when as the donor. I get the option of when do you want to have the surgery? I could have put it off for a year. I could have put it off, as long as I wanted, or I could have had it as soon as I wanted. With that, I was trying to think of the recipient's lifestyle. You know nothing about them. So I tried to put myself, okay, well, typically people are around their family during Thanksgiving, during Christmas. Your work may be super busy, or most people's work is downtime for, around Christmas and Thanksgiving. So I chose to be in between that, to where if that was the case, that someone would at least have their family around them and have easier time to heal because their family was with them. And it just was a process that the feelings were just always, thinking of that next step, thinking of everyone in the picture, not just thinking of myself. And just, it was something I was supposed to do.
I was nervous meeting who the donor was. I really didn't have any info. It was just this feeling of like gratitude and wanting to really just thank this person who just gave me the gift of life. I wanted to walk in there, and they had to will me for part of the way. Then we got to meet each other. And then when I laid eyes on her, I was surprised. She was just slightly older than me, a white woman. She was just a cool person. And we just talked, and, we shed tears. And people who are just on the surface so different ended up being perfect matches. It just kind of speaks to our human nature and to where we are as people. Is I think sometimes we put too much emphasis on the things that make us different than the things that really make us united.
First off, we had our surgery on a Monday. We met each other on Wednesday and both left the hospital on Wednesday. So it was a very quick, we didn't have to wait long to meet each other. And when I walked in the door, it was just an overwhelming joy. Of course, we all were crying. His wife Brittany was there. His mom was on the computer, and it was just amazing.
My life is better than it was before. I'm active. I'm not playing sports or anything like that, but I'm super active. I have 3 children that I'm, running around, wrestling, playing with. My quality of life is so much better. I'm able to engage and do things in my community that bring me joy, that bring me purpose. I try to eat healthy, but I'm still a fan of bacon cheeseburgers. So I still engage in those every once in a while. But I just live a full life, not as limited as I was before the transplant, especially during the time of dialysis. I'm able to, travel and do things with my family and make memories and hopefully make an impact everywhere I go.
I've been skiing. I can do anything. A lot of people think, oh, once you do that, you can't live a normal life. Absolutely. Your kidney that you have left will grow bigger and compensate. I could have donated to an infant, as I mentioned before, and that kidney will adjust to the body that it goes to, and yours will also adjust.
I've gone to different organizations that promote community and that promote equity and things like that, and talked about the disparities in healthcare, and encourage people to donate, to consider being a donor. Being a teacher, my students always want to know about my journey and what my life has been like, and what my donor's life is like. And so I've encouraged them to consider it when they get their license to sign up to be a donor, to kind of really spelling some of the myths around being a donor or even a recipient.
I became part of a volunteer advocate for LifeShare Oklahoma. So I thought, well, I'm going to write a blog. So I wrote a blog. I haven't updated it in a little while. Life, that's how crazy and just amazing that life is. But I started the blog during the process. I put pictures of getting my x-rays done, getting my CAT scan done. All the doctor actually took pictures of the kidney that was transplanted. There's a picture on the blog of the kidney. I donate blood regularly. I still donate blood after. I actually donated blood for my surgery prior to going into surgery, in case that something happened that I needed blood. I am always telling people, just because you check that donor box on your driver's license does not mean that you're going to be a donor. Your family, you have to tell your family that you want to be a donor. You have to tell your family your wishes, because ultimately your family are the ones who decide what happens to you. So my family knows that if anything ever happens to me, that I want to donate every bit of what I can donate. My hands, there's face transplants now, there's hand transplants, there's feet, there's every part of me. I want to make sure that is donated and passed on to someone that can use that. And I always tell our story. I tell our story at least daily.